When the regular material sticks just right, but its carbon fiber filled crazy uncle just doesn't work for some reason. Prusa XL is having issues with softer filaments, and an Ender 3 that decided to test the magic smoke theory. All this and more, PrintFix Friday, episode 137. This one might have a little bit of tinfoil in it. Let's get into it. Hey y'all, welcome back to PrintFix Friday. This is week 137 of getting your printers back to printing with purpose. And we are accepting your submissions. DM them to us on Twitter specifically, or really any of the social media platforms. Or if you like, you can email us directly for assistance, YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com. Let's dive into it. We got someone who I've always really admired and has a really cool product I'm going to talk about in a second, but JBV Creative. One, dude, I got to get you on a podcast because I want to understand how your mind works. It is truly astounding. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out JBV Creative. We're going to link to him down below. We'll card to his channel. Seriously, go check out his work. It is insane the way this guy thinks, and I absolutely love it. But we've got you win some, you lose some. This is, I'm guessing, based on the machine behind it, a print off of his Bambu Lab X1 Carbon that had a pretty serious layer shift. Yeah, it's a pretty serious layer shift. We can see down here that that's probably a 3 or 4 millimeter shift. And when you're doing parts like this, especially ones with some overhangs like this, curling up can be a problem, and the machine can run into those pieces, causing it to skip steps. Now, the Bambus do have the ability to monitor this kind of thing and be able to theoretically fix it. But I, along with others, have found that it's not always the most reliable thing. And when you turn it on to like medium or above, it's way too sensitive and will often give incredibly inaccurate false positives. But I guess I'd rather have a false positive than a waste like this. But because it is a Bambu, that's probably only like a 3-hour print. If that, those machines are just crazy fast, especially when you outfit them with one of those E3D high flow obsidian nozzles. That's that collaboration between the two. We recently covered it in a video. We'll card to it so you guys can take a look. I have really been enjoying ours, and I think you might enjoy it as well. This one's a pretty easy one to solve. Just reprint the part. Look to see if you can adjust your support settings to keep any parts from shifting up. And of course, if it is something that is occurring over and over, more Z-hop, more better. But as far as I can tell, this is actually a part to this piece. This is his mechanical 7-segment display, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with these. I specifically would like to do a subscriber counter. I think that'd be a really awesome video. Let me know what you guys think. If enough of you say that we should do it, we will do it. I will assemble it on stream. We'll do a whole thing where we set it up, somehow get it connected to the internet, and have it live count our subscribers that you can see on the main set. I honestly think it would be really cool. I love mechanical things. I love 7-segment displays. So this is like, you know, a bit of a molding between things that I really dig. Next up, a fail from my buddy Alex Gibson, the Edumaker. We actually hung out with him at Smurf. I don't exactly remember if we got it on camera, but hey, we'll card to the Smurf series so you guys can take a look at it. Alex is all about educating and making, and we're kind of about the same stuff, so I dig it. He's saying, I've not seen issues like this with printing PETG CF for some time. PETG is 100% reliable. First layer was perfect, but second layer of supports do not want to stick to the first. Instead, they curl up the nozzle and make a mess. Tips: 240 70C, 0.6 hardened, 30% cooling, second layer. I said, temp tower would be my go-to advice. If the first layer worked, but the second layer failed, it could be a temp issue. It is likely a temp issue. And that is because when you go to layer 2, you're moving much faster, generally speaking, and you're not able to get enough heat into that filament, causing basically exactly what you see here. We have dealt with this problem before, and we found sometimes PETG CF just needs a little bit more heat. That's okay. You can see that he upped it to 250 from 240. He's using a Volcano, so it's not limited for temps, even with the 30% fan. Reduces speed from 3,200 to 3,000 millimeters per minute, and it is so far so good. So that slight reduction in speed will obviously impact to some extent. However, I think the temperature is going to be the big one. When you are printing stuff and you want to do carbon fiber reinforce, and putting air quotes there because it's not really stronger, it's more stiff. It's a complicated thing, but when you are printing anything that is filled, we traditionally add at least 10 degrees Celsius to this. Often we will overheat these filaments deliberately so that we can get better interlayer bonding, and it seems to work. I would love to see Stefan of CNC Kitchen test this, and I don't know, Stefan, if for some reason you watch this and you see this, shoot me a message. We should talk, because if you either don't want to test it or don't have the time, I would love to. And if I'm going to do a video like that, I want to make sure that we do it right. Maybe do it like under your supervision somehow. I don't want to step on other creators' toes like that, because that's kind of his thing. I want to do it. I want to build a rig to start doing this kind of testing, specifically for really, really unique filaments and some of the upper echelon tier materials like PCABS, PCFR, the fire retardant polycarbonate, and just weird blends of things that you don't traditionally see in the PLA and PETG world. It'd be really cool to kind of build a database of that and make it free for everybody. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, often here, more temp, more better. Obviously, keep it under like 280 or so. If you are going to move really fast, you can go upwards of 270 for PETG, but just be careful. It's pretty simple. Having issues with my SV06 Plus not sticking / spaghetti mess. His bed is sweaty. The steppers are weak. The X-axis is heavy. There's vomit on his plate already. Mom spaghetti. We got our first layer here looking like absolute crap. It looks like a Jackson Pollock. And we can see here, again, lots of space between those lines, which means our Z offset is not set to where it needs to be. The little bit of spaghetti there that we see, that is to be expected. The part got knocked off the build plate. Quite frankly, this is the best case scenario, in my opinion. You don't want to turn into a blob of doom. But yeah, this is the offset thing. We covered Z offset in a former video. We'll card to it so you guys can take a look. It's a great video for this kind of thing, and I think I even used an SV06 and a Prusa Mini for that video, so that might be really valuable, specifically given that you are working with an SV06 Plus. But when you're dealing with a textured plate, you actually want to be a little bit closer than normal. Traditionally, we like to see a first layer that looks and feels to the touch like glass. There shouldn't be ridges in between, and there shouldn't be valleys in between your lines. Because remember, if your ruffles have ridges, then that means you're a little bit too close. But with a textured build plate, you actually want to be ever so slightly too close. It absolutely helps in making sure that it just kind of grabs into the pores of the PEI. At least in theory, that's what it does. I'm honestly not certain if that is a confirmed thing, but it works, so I'm not gonna mess with it. You feel me? Z offset, make sure that build plate is clean. Hot water and dish soap is a great way to do that. We recommend specifically either like a Dawn dish soap or one of the generics, and specifically one that is not formulated to moisturize your skin as well, because that can leave some residue behind. The Old Blue is the way to go. It's gonna smell a little weird, but it removes all the oil from the build plate. I would tell you to hold your build plate like a vinyl record, but that might get lost with our current generation. So what I will say is you hold it from the sides. You don't put your grubby mitts all over it, please. Because, well, your hands are greasy, and build plates ain't no fan of grease. Don't make me laugh. Ha, ha, ha. Next up, a fail from my buddy Pooch, Mr. Repcord himself, and a Prusa employee saying, not so sexy flexy jam. I guess extruded torque doesn't do much good if there's nowhere for the noodle to go. Looks like more temp testing is needed. All right, first off, that's impressive. So for those who don't know, the XL uses a planetary drive gearbox. It does not use a cycloidal drive, which is what it was originally supposed to use. It was eventually changed to this planetary gearbox. I am sad. I know a lot of you are sad. I understand why Prusa did it, but I'm also allowed to still be sad. But yeah, this is pretty much really the only real way to do it. You gotta pull everything apart and just kind of pray to whatever 3D printing deities that you choose that you can pull this jam out. Traditionally, we catch this way earlier than what you see here. And Prusa is releasing firmware to address this problem. I'm not exactly certain if Pooch was testing that firmware specifically, or maybe he was the one that recommended the change. You never really know. But they are in a release candidate, and I think the Mark IV, the 3.5, and the 3.9 all have this firmware already, but the XL still in release candidate as of filming this video. But it has jam detection. Exactly how it works, I'm not certain. My best assumption is that it has to do with its ability to detect temperature in the heat break, as well as the load cell sensors throughout the hot end itself. It should be able to detect very, very slight changes in pressure. And if it's not noticing those changes in pressure, which would indicate that filament is being fed or not, it should be able to warn you. But I've been there before. This has happened with our Mark III S's, and I will hear it. It's like I'll hear the stepper skipping. And as soon as that happens, I'll pause the print. I will pop off the extruder door just like this, and then I will pull on the filament like my life depends on it. And often that can kind of clear up the mess that you have here. But with TPU, we do find that a little extra heat does go a long way. And of course, with TPU, it is incredibly hygroscopic. Make sure that you dry your TPU. We do, and it's something that we keep in active dry boxes, and we've been playing around with a new one. I can't talk about it yet, but it's a really interesting take on a dry box enclosure. I'm really excited to show it to you guys. It is coming soon, so if you do want to see that kind of thing, make sure to leave a like and get subscribed, because we have a lot of cool content coming in the next few months, including an entire look at audio with 3D printing. I'm so excited to go down this rabbit hole. I'm actively blaming deposition sound and Polymate for this, and my love of music. Wait, we have learned from the Trident build. We accept no responsibility here. We blame others, just like we blame Steve builds. We blame deposition sound and Polymate for making cool speakers. We blame them for this, not ourselves. We're gonna call it a collective effort, but it is super cool. I'm looking forward to checking out some deposition sound speakers. Let me know what you guys want to see us do with them, because we have a Prusa XL and we got a Bambu, but I really want to do it on the XL. Secondhand Ender 3 blew up! I got a secondhand Ender 3 off a friend. After cleaning it and turned it off, it made a very loud pop sound when I opened it up. This is what I saw. Is the thing wrecked, or can I fix it? Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the theory of the magic smoke. But before we do that, don't do this. Do not open your power supplies. These capacitors contain enough energy to unalive you incredibly fast. Seriously, don't do it. I do not say this to scare you. I do not say this as some FUD. This is a real, legitimate risk. Please do not do this if you do not know exactly what you are doing. Power supplies that are often incredibly cheap do not have bleed resistors on their capacitors. So these big capacitors, like the one here that popped, will hold and store power for a long time, and that power can be deadly. But let's talk about the magic smoke. There is an electrical theory. That's more of a conspiracy theory, but it's a fun one. Put on your tin foil, bear with me for a little bit. The theory goes with the magic smoke that all electronics run on the magic smoke. That magic smoke is one-time use, it is non-refillable, and once it is gone, it is gone. The magic smoke eventually, over time, does go away and will need to be replaced with brand new components that have the magic smoke in them. If you let out the magic smoke, she's dead, Jim, and there's nothing that you can do. The magic smoke is often a kind of a blue-gray smoke that comes out of electronics when you overvolt them, whether accidentally or deliberately. I'm looking at some of you Sparkies out there. You know who you are. I could also call myself out for that 100%. Yeah, I can. These capacitors, when they get really, really hot, the oil that's inside of them, the electrolyte, because they're electrolytic capacitors, the electrolyte in there will burn. And that burning is often kind of a grayish blue looking smoke. The magic smoke. And when you release said magic smoke, the electronic no longer works. And yes, over time, electrolytic capacitors will need to be replaced as they do a bunch of cycles on and off. That electrolyte does slowly evaporate, so they do actually need to be replaced over time with new magic smoke. Theoretically, you could figure out what's broken in this and replace the components. The components down here, those blue things, those are likely metal oxide varistors or MOVs. Those likely would be need to be replaced, and I guess it looks like there might be one down there as well. This cap definitely needs to be replaced, and I'm guessing there's going to be some voltage regulation in there that also needs to be replaced. But for the cost of a new, proper, legit Meanwell power supply, do not attempt a repair. Get rid of it. Take this to your local makerspace. Get rid of the power supply, let them decide how they would like to get rid of it. If they e-waste it or they salvage it for components, that is their problem, not your problem. Please. A new power supply is like 30 to 50 bucks and is much safer than you poking around inside of a power supply with a soldering iron, and depending on where you live, might be illegal. So don't do that. This is a great way to learn a valuable lesson that is thankfully not a very expensive lesson. Last and certainly not least, oh, this one hurts me so much. This is a Shining 3D Einstar. It says, well, my day just went from good to bad. Anyone know if/where you can replace the glass? I was using this Einstar 3D scanner and accidentally kicked the cable while going to add markers on my subject. Picked it up to find the worst case scenario. Anyone know if it's possible to replace the glass and not have to buy another $1,000 scanner? This is like my worst nightmare with 3D scanners. We have an Einstar, and I actually really like it. It's my favorite 3D scanner under that $1,000 mark, but realistically, it's like a $3,000 scanner because it needs about a $2,000 computer to run it. So this is all glass. And so what happened is they dropped it, glass went shatter. The cool thing about where we are is that Shining 3D has 2 offices in the United States. One in California, the other one is here in Tampa, Florida. And in fact, we were there a couple of weeks ago checking out their latest and greatest scanners at their open house. They have some really cool metrology grade stuff. I'm hoping that we can work with them in the future on content, whether we take the scanners and bring them here or we just go to them and film. They've got a pretty sick setup over there. We could do some pretty dope content with them. So if you guys want to see more scanning content, specifically with consumer, prosumer, and even high quality level scanners, let me know in the comments, because I would love to do more on 3D scanning. And certainly, I really like this Einstar. It is tethered, so it's got a custom connector on the bottom, and the tether is nice. It's actually nicer than my EVA. My EVA needs 2 cables. The Einstar is just 1. Very nice job there, Shining 3D. But yeah, the glass broke, and now they have to get it fixed. Thankfully, it looks like Shining 3D might be able to fix this. They're going to be without the scanner for a little bit, but realistically, that is a great reason to build a case for this thing, or keep it in the case that it comes with. An objectively very nice carrying case. Yeah, I get this pain. Hopefully Shining 3D will get them taken care of, but this is a huge deal when it comes to making sure that you keep an eye on where your stuff is, especially when it comes to cables. This individual does, I think it's motorcycle work. Yes, they had a small shed where they're working on a motorcycle and they had set the scanner down. I would even look at getting one of those keyback things so that the scanner can kind of dangle from the ceiling. The connector that it uses is a locking connector. It should be okay, but I guess you could also dangle it from here. That way, when you're done, you can just let go of it and it will hang from your ceiling and not fall on the floor. That one's a bit of a, really, really unique use case, but if you can find one that can handle the weight that you need, that's not a bad idea. And certainly we've looked at utilizing systems like that to keep the cables up off the floor so you don't trip on them. No matter how you really deal with the cables, I think it's important that, yeah, getting the support where it needs. It looks like Shining 3D is going to at least start the process in getting something done, and I'm happy about that. That's kind of what we need right now, and it does appear they were able to pick the glass out of the elements where it mattered, and we're still able to finish the scan, which is kind of cool. You don't really have much to lose at that point, right? It could viably already be broken, so send it. Why not? And I do want to give a huge thank you to those that do send it at the $5 tier and higher via the links in that description down below if you do want to support the efforts that we do here, because a like and subscribe doesn't cost anything and helps the channel grow. But if you do want to kick a couple of bucks into that creator fund, hey, we ain't going to complain. And at the $10 tier, you get to come hang out in our private Discord server where we are hanging out pretty much every night. You guys get to see a lot of behind the scenes content. But yeah, thank you to those whose names are scrolling next to me, right below me, with the entire PrintFix Friday series, now 137 episodes deep. Absolutely crazy. We're coming up on 3 years. We gotta do a cool celebration for 3 years. Let me know what you guys think. Anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one.